Hello there. So, this is your host Des, and you're tuning in to DY Sensei. I'm here to keep you healthy and happy. Now, I'm dedicating this episode to a lovely friend I've made. Seeing her and chatting with her every week brightens my day, and I hope that she can see how amazing she really is, no matter what path she's gone through. It's the small little waves she makes that can really change lives, even if she doesn't see it in herself. This month we're going to be talking about love, in line with kind of the month's topic, and just that it was Valentine's Day. Now, about love, so many people have different ideas about what love is. There's so many thoughts and theories on what love is. Sometimes we're even listening to Taylor Swift or some other singers about their love life and how it's in shambles. Love is a feeling, it comes and goes like the wind. Sometimes it's the butterflies we feel in our stomachs. Or, maybe we're listening to some relationship gurus, and it's trusting and believing in the other person. Or we're told that it's letting them do whatever they want, even if it's self-destructive. So really, what the heck is love? Now, I come from a pretty traditional Asian background. We don't really do all those Chinese celebrations. It makes it easier for my parents that way, because they don't need to give us any red pocket money on Chinese New Year. And that's all the more reason for me to deny my Chinese heritage. I'm joking, but my parents really did raise my siblings and I up with a lot of traditional values. Growing up, we were also raised in a Christian church, so we do have an idea about what love is through a Christian lens. And by far from what I've seen, I do have to say that love in a Christian and traditional Chinese lens have always seemed very powerful and made sense to me. Many years ago, I developed a terrible health condition called steroid withdrawal. The online community calls it topical steroid withdrawal, or TSW, but I just call mine steroid withdrawal because the topical part wasn't relevant to me. Mine wasn't caused by using topical steroid creams on my skin, but it was caused by taking oral corticosteroids. I'll get a little bit more into this in a future talk about steroid withdrawal, though. So basically, steroid withdrawal can be a terrible experience. When our skin is moisturized, it's red, swollen, and inflamed. Edema, which is basically swelling caused by too much fluid in our body's tissues, can make our face, hands, feet, and even limbs swell to 2 to 3 times their normal size. And then, it can feel like your skin's got a really bad sunburn. It's just raw and painful. Honestly, I've experienced a lot of pain in my life, and I don't usually cry out in pain. But when I take a shower with this condition, I'd scream even if it's a silent scream because it felt like somebody was pouring liquid fire over me. That really felt like hell. Now, that's not the worst parts. Our skin, and I say our referring to the lovely TSW and no moisture treatment community that's gone through this and have supported me, our skin is so thinned out from these steroids that it can be as thin as, let's say, a single layer of tissue paper. It'll crack and break all over, and sometimes if you sweat, it feels like your skin is dissolving and exposing raw flesh. I had this all over my body and was bedbound for months because of this. And yeah, I looked like a real-life zombie. I looked horrendous, I smelled awful like a decaying corpse, and, it seemed like there wasn't much life in me. I couldn't do much, and I had to rely on my family, who had to support me. they had to help me with cleaning, cooking, and yeah, well, I was lucky that I had my parents with me. I was living with my parents at that time, and well, it's an Asian thing where we don't move out until we get married, for most traditional Asians. Yeah, my parents were, well, they are amazingly loving people, especially with their children. And if I had to be honest, they're your traditional Asian parents. We don't really get hugs, kisses, or love bombed by our parents. They'll never tell you that they love you, and they'll never tell you that, you're enough, but that you always need to do better. It's an Asian parents thing, but I've always known how much they loved us through their actions alone. They'll bring out the stick when we're naughty, but they do it also to discipline us and help us walk on the right paths. They're immigrants who started a life here from scratch and had to work their ass off doing 2 jobs each when they had my brothers and I. Still, they always cared for us so much, and they spared so much time and money to take us to Disneyland, buy us mountains of toys and games, and would rarely spend on themselves. To them, our happiness was their own. Now, I'm not saying that you need to buy extravagant stuff for your kids or people you love to show that you love them, but part of love is self-sacrifice. Going back to times when I was going through steroid withdrawal, it was one of the toughest times in my life. For somebody with Asian genes who looked like he was in his teens even though I was well out of it, I started to look like I aged 40, 50 years. Aside from looking like that decaying corpse. It was super painful, and there was also this deep nerve itch that makes you want to just tear your skin apart. It was throughout my body. It was so bad that sometimes it was so bad that it could keep me up for almost 2 weeks straight, up until I started hallucinating and getting ringing noise, tinnitus in my ears. It was just that bad. My parents were there for me though, especially my own mom. She was there to cook for me, clean up my room and everything. She was there to make sure that I was well taken care of and to know that I am loved and supported, even without spoken words. I still remember being told by my dad how she had so many sleepless nights because she felt so distraught on my behalf. But she wouldn't vocalize or tell me about it to keep my spirits going. Looking back, it can bring me to tears because, well, it's not because of guilt, but that I'm touched that there was somebody who loved me enough to worry about me in that way. She didn't just worry about me, she put her whole heart and soul into supporting me every day when it was tough for her to see me the way I was. And not once did she complain in all those months and even the years following when I had flare-ups that left me in the same states for months. I have to say, I learned a lot about love from my mom, but also from Jesus Christ. And these two have always inspired me to share that same love with other people. Love is more than just a feeling. Love is deliberate action, even when it's hard. We make a conscious choice to do something in the best interest of the other person. I've seen when people broken up or separated from people they once loved, whether that was in a romantic relationship or family members, and they say that love just wasn't enough. But did they truly love that other person? Or did the other person love them? Remember, love is deliberate action. Instead of having things your way, are you taking the time to listen to the other person? There really are times when people need to be pointed in the right direction, and that too is a form of love. But sometimes all we need to do is just listen to the other person. Now, how about those who are going through difficult times? Are you going to up and leave them, or are you going to sit by and weather through the storm with them? That's what my mom did for me, and showing her love through action by staying by my side to support me, even when I was an abomination. I'm not saying all relationships need to be this way. There's times when the person we're with can be very abusive and can endanger us or somebody else we love. And it's important to not put yourselves in those dire situations. That aside, think of a close friend, a spouse, a child of yours, or even, maybe your fur baby if you have one. If they were going through a difficult time and feeling lost, how would you respond? Now, you don't need to shoulder all their burden, but you might want to be there for them, right? Being there for them is love. Love is action. In the same way, whether you're Christian or not, the beautiful story and life of Jesus Christ is a demonstration of that sort of love. So the saying goes, humanity is separated from divinity because of sin. Not because God didn't want us, but because the natural order of things is that He cannot tolerate sin. In order to be together with His people, and so that they don't suffer in the depths of hell, He sends His Son to bear our sins, to die on the cross and help us reunite with Him. Jesus wasn't about being a love hippie guy who just talked about love. Jesus, who was meant to be the savior to mankind, a king and a god in His own right, had put others before Him, even His disciples, when He washed the feet of His disciples. Could you do the same for those you love? Well, He lived it through service and sacrifice, by putting others before Him to the point where He even offered His own life. Now, to me, that is what true love is. When you truly love people, you will take action. Now, the type of action done is deliberate and with intentions directed towards the other, not yourself. When you listen to your friend or spouse, are you just listening so they'd shut up? Or are you waiting for your turn to speak after them? Or are you really listening? I mean, listen, not hear them, but really listen to them from head to heart. And try to see and even understand what they're talking about. Don't think of it as a win-lose situation, but a win-win situation. Yes, sometimes it feels like you need to compromise, you're losing out on a little bit of something. But when you do love somebody this way, where you put them above yourself, you're creating a better relationship that you can rely on. They will return the kind gestures you've shown them, or even pay it forward to somebody else. Now, I used to volunteer a lot at 2 long-term care centers for almost 10 years until I was messed up by the meds. I would bring my puppy along to give pet therapy while I played piano. And some people thought I went out to volunteer to show off, but that wasn't my intention. I served people living with dementia, and sometimes they wouldn't even remember me, but it didn't matter. I was there for them, not for myself. I took hours out of my days assisting in feeding them to make sure that they were getting that nutrition, and playing piano for them, giving them pet therapy, and even listening to some of the other senior residents. They were important to me, and I wanted to make sure that they were well taken care of. Even if I was working 2 jobs or studying hard in university, it's more about them than it was about myself. Now, I'm not telling you all of this to tell you how amazing I am, but that love is deliberate action with intentions directed toward others. And in a way, I was very inspired by many of the spouses and family members of those people living on the dementia units. Even when their loved ones couldn't remember them, they would come day after day to see them and to feed them and to be there with them. For me, seeing that, it was maybe the epitome of true love too. It was just like my own mom who was there to support me without a word. It's just like Jesus who was able to put his people and disciples before himself, that he would wash their feet and die for them, despite being the Savior and God of his people. And that's what love is. Love is directed towards the other person. Greater love has no one than this, that someone laid down his life for his friends. Parents willing to subvert their freedom to raise a child. A spouse willing to lay down his ego to listen to his partner. Or maybe somebody willing to jump into a burning house to save a cherished friend. Love is action with intentions that is directed towards another. Now, the final thing I want to mention about love is that love is abundance. Yes, your energy, time, and attention might be limited, but love isn't. Let me ask you, is there a quota on how many people you can love? Is there like an upper limit, maybe 150 or 1,000 people before other people don't get any love or kindness from you? I hope not, because you can always give a little kindness to somebody, whether it's listening to them for a little while, giving them a helping hand, or even a small hug or smile to let them know they're not alone. And talking about how abundant it is, it's not just reserved for other people too. Love is meant for yourself. You can always spare time to be kind to yourself and to love yourself. Loving yourself doesn't mean you're a narcissist. It just means that you can forgive, accept, and treat yourself kindly as you would with somebody else you love. And of course I get it. Sometimes it can be hard to love yourselves. We can be our own harshest critic. And personally, I struggled with it a big part of my own life, thinking I wasn't enough, that my own misfortune always made me the black sheep with poor health. But I learned that it's okay to love myself too. We're not perfect, but we don't need to be perfect to love ourselves. Just as we love those around us who are imperfect, we're just like that. We're perfectly imperfect, and that's good enough for us. I'm not saying don't strive for self-improvements, but to accept yourself for where we're at this time. Acknowledge how far we've come, whether it's having an impact on the lives of the others, like a family, a friend out there, or maybe a stranger in need. Even with our past and the current baggage we might have, it's okay. You're enough. Your past has made you into a better person today because you're here and you're walking forward. Your past has helped you build resilience. You're tougher than you were yesterday, and you can be proud of how far you've come. For myself, I started seeing my past hardships, failures in relationships, and even in my own health as lessons to do better and to share with others who are going through the same troubles. I stopped looking into the mirror and seeing how deformed I was from my illness, but knowing that it's a testament of what I had gone through and the love and supports people had shown me during those times. Even my first failed long-term relationship helped me understand I wasn't a failure, but that I can and I will do better, in not just my future romantic relationships, but in all my relationships with people. Now, anywho, I'm not saying you'll never feel down about yourself. If you love yourself, it's natural to feel negative feelings, but remember this. Negative feelings aren't a bad thing per se. I've mentioned this in a lot of my previous episodes. Whether you believe in creation or by a higher being or evolution, we have negative feelings for a reason. It helps us function properly. Anger gives people the courage to stand up for what they believe in, and fear nurtures care and attention. Guilt leads us to correct mistakes, and sadness helps us grieve for and understand what we're missing. Negative feelings only become a problem when we let it control us, instead of us being the ones in control of it. When we take control of it, though, it exists as a tool to help us better ourselves and our relationships. After all, untethered rage cripples the capacity to be careful and considerate, and uncontained fear drives people to abandon their beliefs they held dear. Now, we kind of went off topic, but that's alright. It's always an important topic to emphasize. Anyways, love yourself. Love is abundant, and that's why love is amazing. It's never in short supply, and it's about whether we choose to do it or not. It's a choice we can all make, because it's action, not a feeling. We might not control what we feel, but we can control what we do. Now, bringing it all together, I want you to remember this. 1. Love is deliberate action, not a feeling. 2. When you love another, the intention should be directed to the other, not yourself. And 3. Love is abundance, and even you are not exempted from it, so make sure you love yourself. I hope this message resonated with many of you out there. Love others around you in this way, and you'll see it repaid tenfold. And that's the amazing thing about love in this way. It comes back with high return even if you don't intend it to, because good relationships are nurtured this way. And for those out there who are having a hard time loving yourself, know that you're not alone. There's many people who are in the same place as you, many people also out there who love you. Because to them, you are imperfectly perfect. And you deserve it 1,000,001%. And if you find it difficult to believe that, know that there's somebody even like me here, doing all these podcasts and not even being paid a penny to reach you. Now, that's a wrap for this episode. I really hope it's reached your hearts, and if you like this episode, please tune in to my episodes every Tuesday morning. Be sure to comment what you thought about this episode, follow or subscribe if you're on YouTube, and share it with somebody you love. Again, if you ever want more information or want to appear on my podcast to just chat about anything, even anonymously, please feel free to contact me at dysensei@dysstudios.com. That's dysensei@dysstudios.com. And with that said, class dismissed.